out for something to hold. Looking for a love where the climate is cold. Mountain moves and drowsy dreams. Living in the middle between the two extremes. Smoking guns, hot to the touch. Would cool down if we didn't use them so much. Yeah, we're so alone, and so really matters to me. Too much, too much. You're out of touch.
Alrighty, everybody, be sure to share this stream. Share with your mom, share with your dad, share with your cousins, your aunt, your uncle, your cat, your dog. We are live in 4 minutes. We're going to be talking about the disastrous new piece of legislation being proposed by a Republican senator and a Democrat senator. What do we bipartisanship? What the freak? Share the stream right now. What is going on? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Out of Touch. I am your chipper and jovial and courteous John Curtis. I am your courteous host, Kai Schwemmer. It has been a minute since we've done a stream of Out of Touch. My apologies for my vacancy last week. A lot of stuff went down. I watched The Odyssey twice. Great movie. I've uploaded 2 videos. I hope you guys have enjoyed those on the YouTube. We saw, hey, Latter-day Saints in the chat. Michael Lionheart in the chat. Oh my flipping goodness. Here, let me pull up my kick just so I can give this guy mod. Shout out Michael Lionheart. Michael, good job beating the case. Sorry about the noise. Good job beating that case. He did not do the race. He beat the case. Always better to avoid doing the chase when possible. So well done, man. We love you. I'm glad it turned out all right. Unironically, that was that can be a very scary situation. I'm sure it was something that you were not excited for. So I'm glad to hear that it went well. Solar Filmed, good to see you. Seth the Humble, good to see you. Turns out the best way to catch Kai live is to be in a time zone 12 hours ahead of Utah. Hey. Cut me some slack. I'm feeling a little bit more golden, a little bit more bronze today. Maybe the camera's going to turn me green as it typically does. Today we've got something, and I don't have too much time because I actually have to. I have to end the live stream kind of soon because I have to go play video games. I say kind of soon. We're going to be together for like an hour. What's up, Train Man? Stop asking questions, Train Man. What's up, Word War Debate? So good to see you. Holy moly. We got Word War Debate in here. Stacked lineup. Yeah, tonight we'll be talking about something very important. We're going to be talking about this horrendous, terrible new piece of legislation, tone-deaf piece of legislation that has been sponsored by Senate Republican, I just said his name, John Curtis of my home state of Utah. Man, what is going on with Utah, guys? What is going on with our Utah politicians? Okay, what's going on with our Utah politicians? So we've got this bipartisan piece of immigration legislation which addresses worker shortages. And of course, the solution that the regime can come up with, the solution that our Republican senators and representatives come up with for any issue is simply throw more immigrants at it. We don't have a very robust way of thinking about these issues. We kind of just, one size fits all, try to fix them. And the answer is always, for whatever reason, more immigrants. You got a problem with fertility, more immigrants. You got a problem with the workforce, more immigrants. You got too many Republicans, too many conservatives, more immigrants. So we'll dive into the language. We'll dive into some reporting done by Brigham Tomko at the Deseret News. We like Brigham. Brigham's good. One of the best journos who has written about me. We'll talk a little bit as well about Marsha Judkins, the mayor of my hometown of Provo. This is a very local episode to me. Marsha Judkins, I tweeted about this last week when it happened, but now we've got video of her saying it as well. Marsha Judkins, in celebration of Pioneer Day, which is a holiday celebrated in the state of Utah, honoring the legacy of the pioneers that built the state, the thousands that came through the Mormon Trail in order to get here, crossing the Rockies, Wyoming, getting to the Salt Lake Valley. She made a statement commemorating this year's Pioneer Day, saying that the city of Provo, not just her, but the city of Provo recognizes refugees as the new pioneers. So we'll be addressing that. We'll be talking about that. Very crazy stuff. Not a great showing for Utah in national politics this week. Sorry, guys. I got to sip on this. It's going to be a long night. It's going to be a long stream. I have to have my green. Oh, it's invisible because it's green. That's funny. My bad. Oh, we did still smoking that Jesse. And we are smoking that Jesse a little bit. We are smoking that Jesse pack. If you guys did not see, I also uploaded a debate that I had last week or 2 weeks ago with Shovelhead Jesse. And it's actually doing pretty good. I was looking at the metrics for it. It's performing pretty well. We're up to 4,000 views on it, which it sounds small, but the channel's small. It is growing. We're almost at 10,000 subscribers. So, Yeah, be sure to show some love over there. But we uploaded the abortion debate, and it was just one of the most insane abortion debates I've ever had in my life. Listening to it back, there's a lot that I wish I would have called out because it was truly just remarkable, the kind of stuff that he was saying. But nevertheless, I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you were subscribed to the Gumroad, you got access to that debate early. Subscribers to the Gumroad got access to that debate early, unless you caught it live, in which case everybody saw it at the same time. The Gumroad subscribers did catch the upload early, so be sure you subscribe to the Gumroad. It's $5 a month. $5 is literally less than the price of anything these days. $5 is less than the price of that expensive matcha that you're going to get. $5 is less than 2 energy drinks. $5 is less than... $5 is about the price of a protein drink. I mean, come on. I mean, $5, you can do that. $5 for the Gumroad, you can do that. You can do that. I believe in you. Here, give me a second to log in. Trying to log into Kick here. Actually, it's really frustrating. I thought it would log me in automatically, but I guess not. So give me just 1 second, gents. I do want to log in because I promised Michael Lionheart. Okay, we're in. I promised Michael Lionheart that I was going to give him mod. And who am I if not somebody who keeps their promises? Hey, shut up. Shut up. There we go. Hold on, community roles. We're gonna add Michael. Where is he? Michael Lionheart. DS Gamer, good to see you as well. Kai, should I join the Catholic Church or Protestant? Well, you would have to answer first which Protestant church, and then second, no, you should join the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But for me personally, if it was between Protestants and Catholics, I would go Catholic. Just because you're asking. Thrawn, good to see you. Deseret Fomer, good to see you as well. We got kind of all the formalities out of the way. Oh, if you guys would like to support the stream, please go to powerchat.live/kaiclips. It was a rough week for another reason. My car, the 2009 Hyundai Accent that I drive, I was driving on the highway last week. I was driving on Friday or Thursday, I think it was, on the freeway about to pass Lehi, which is a city in Utah, about to get to the Lehi exit, when all of a sudden my car stopped working. It was like a click. And I pressed on the gas pedal, wouldn't accelerate. And pressed on the brake and noticed that it wasn't braking the same. Started to steer to the right, to lane change, to get over to the right. And noticed the power steering was out. So I, turned on my emergency blinkers. It was late at night, so there wasn't, a lot of traffic coming. It really couldn't have worked out better, to be honest. It was a big miracle. But yeah, just very, very unfortunate. I brought it into the shop the next day, had to get it towed. Brought it into the shop the next day to see what was wrong with it. Got a call back this morning as I went to work. And turns out the timing belt had snapped. So you hate to see it. And I'm now out of a car. Which swear words did you say? I actually didn't swear. Believe you me, I did not swear. In fact, I documented the very moment. And just so you guys know that this chipper, jovial lifestyle isn't a LARP, just so you know that this isn't a costume, I'm going to play you what I said when it happened. Here are the words that I said. Hold on. That's Spanish. That's my bad. Subtitles. Por favor, subtítulos. Por favor, póngale los subtítulos. All right.
I have come to realize, gentlemen, that every once in a while, life will throw a wrench in your plans to see if you can adapt, to see if you can overcome. You'll be going about your business and suddenly, boom, it breaks your car on the side of the freeway.
True.
And in that moment, you will be tempted.
Sorry about the car noises. I was on the side of the freeway.
To have your cortisol spike. Not me.
Not me. Not me.
I'm cool as a cucumber.
Cool as a cucumber.
I got work tomorrow. I'm gonna have to walk. That's fine. No biggie. You look for the little miracles. I called my parents.
Anyway. You guys get the point. There I am, pulled over, side of the road. Hate to see it. But it all worked out. And it all worked out. But if you would like to help me improve my situation as quickly as possible, because I do need a new car and I do got to save money, and it would be $5,000 to repair my car. I bought my car for $3,200 7 years ago. So I'm not repairing it. I'm not repairing it. But if you guys would like to support the show, if you'd like to support the new car fund, you can go to powerchat.live/kaiclips. Mods, can we get that in the YouTube chat? Can we get that in the Kick chat? Powerchat.live/kaiclips. You can donate on Kick as well, if you prefer. It's a choose your own adventure. So choose your own adventure. Do whatever suits you most. We'll leave that to you guys. Suits you most. But yeah. Wait, hold on. Just because of your unbreakable jovialness, I will become a member. Well, your name is Tiankum's Javelin, so I think you're already a member, okay? But if you're not, absolutely do it. But don't do it for me. Do it for Jesus. Get married to an Asian girl at BYU. I don't know about that. Nothing against them. We're getting really sidetracked here. Let me lock in, Brian Lazo. Let me lock in. Personally, not my thing, though. Just saying. But mods, hey, do we not have mods in the chat? Okay, guys. Kaiclips is where you can go to support the show. The more you know. Kai's your bro. We'll throw that in the YouTube chat. There it is, gents. Gonna pin that. Okay. And let's actually dive into the news. Let's actually dive in. I gotta pour up another piece of mate. Another sip of mate before we dive into this. What do you guys want to start with? Hey, press 1 in the chat if you want to start with the John Curtis bill. Press 2 in the chat if we're starting with Martha Judkins. Press 1 in the chat for John Curtis, 2 in the chat for Marsha Judkins. Let's do the poll. And actually, we can do polls on YouTube. I just realized that. Start poll. Let's do Curtis and Judkins. Who do we start with? Let's add that. There it is. I see Seth the Humble is a libertarian, I see. Oh, it's 67% Curtis so far. 71% Curtis. Okay. 71. It's hovering around. Okay, 78. Numbers are moving. The numbers are moving. And we got our votes in from the Kick chat. That might just have to be the way to do it. We might just have to start with John Curtis. Yeah. Okay, we're starting with John Curtis. Latter Daily, hey, there he is. There's the GOAT. Latter Daily Saint says John Curtis. We're starting with John Curtis. Ending poll. 80-20 blowout. Curtis over Judkins. Beautiful. Alrighty. Let's start. We'll read here from this Deseret News article by Brigham Tomko. Shout out Brigham Tomko. He does good reporting. He's one of the journalists that I spies. We're still working on, introducing to everybody to the universal lexicon. We're still working on these, opposite less words. What are they called? I wonder if is spies a word? Is spies a word? Spies is a valid word primarily functioning as a verb in Norwegian and Danish. Well, I'm thinking about English, actually. Cambridge Dictionary? No, that's definitely Norwegian. Okay, I don't think spies is a word. I think we just made that up. It's like the opposite of despise. I don't despise you. I spies you. Anyway, we spies. We spies. Wait, we're spies? Hold on. Mormon Mafia not beating the accusations. FBI agent not beating the accusations. Anyway, we tolerate and we like Brigham Tomko. We'll read here from his reporting. Utah Senator John Curtis announced the introduction of a bill on Monday that would create a voluntary state-sponsored visa program, allowing state legislatures to expand their temporary migrant workforce. The legislation, introduced with Arizona Democrat Senator Mark Kelly. If you don't remember who Mark Kelly is, he was the guy that was encouraging members of the military to stand up to their superiors and disobey what they consider unlawful orders. Of course, that's politicized. It's not actually a matter of, them asking you to commit a war crime. It's more so, I don't like Trump, is really what it boils down to a lot of the time. Anyway, he introduces this with Mark Kelly, a Democratic senator from Arizona. And let's see here. It appears to mirror a 15-year-old proposal passed in Utah as part of the 2011 Compact on Immigration, but which never received federal approval. Curtis's bill would mark a major reform to federal immigration law if it can make its way through congressional gridlock by letting states manage their own state-level guest worker initiatives based on local labor demands. Quote, I've heard time and again from small business owners, farmers, and ranchers across Utah how difficult it has become to hire enough workers to meet growing market demands, Curtis said in a statement. Now that statement, maybe he released it somewhere, maybe he released it somewhere else as well, but he did release it on Twitter. And let me just tell you what the ratio looks like on this. Senator John Curtis tweets out today, 9 hours ago, Utah employers tell me time and again how difficult it's become to find enough workers to meet growing demands. Our bill allows states to sponsor visas tailored to unique workforce needs while ensuring rigorous federal vetting and accountability. That tweet, these are the real numbers. That tweet has 510,000 views, 2,000 comments, and 151 likes. That is brutal. That is brutal. You really hate to see that. You really hate to see that. That is a rough ratio. I have not seen a ratio that rough in a while. The comments calling him out quickly. Loving that. Loving that. We had Riley Beasley with an absolute banger tweet. Riley Beasley says, over 200,000 young Utahns attending college in this state. Who are these employers so I can connect them to college Republicans who have graduated recently? Based. Anyway, we'll keep reading. It says the bipartisan plan would, quote, help fill the gap, end quote, by launching a pilot program for uniquely tailored visas accompanied by rigorous federal vetting. That would include a process to investigate complaints of U.S. workers being displaced. What is that going to look like? We actually already kind of know. I mean, we'll dive into this in a second. Hey, thank you, Word War Debate. We appreciate you. Thank you, man. Thank you. Also, yes, Brian, I have a day job. We'll dive into the analysis in a second, but let me just say, this is a very flimsy thing. We're going to analyze. We're going to look into the displacement of U.S. workers. We actually have a lot of evidence of worker displacement already, but we'll get into that in a second. The United States saw the highest levels of net immigration in American history under President Joe Biden, totaling more than 8 million entries between the start of 2021 and the end of 2024, according to the Census Bureau's data. Surges of immigrants lacking legal status strained services, public safety, and housing, making it one of the top issues of the 2024 presidential election that saw President Donald Trump return on a promise of mass deportation. But Utah's Republican junior senator hopes to continue his independent streak with a bill that harkens back to a time before border crises and enforcement crackdowns by focusing on narrow economic needs of American cities. Utah is experiencing a severe worker shortage, according to U.S. Chamber of Commerce report from December, with 96 available workers for every 100 open jobs. This is an improvement from August 2025, when the state had 72 available workers for every 100 jobs. To address this problem, Curtis's bill would amend the Immigration and Nationality Act to form a new non-migrant or non-immigrant classification for all state-sponsored individuals coming to work or invest, as well as their spouses and minor children for up to 3 years. States would set their own criteria for employment, duration, and place of residence, subject to approval by the Department of Homeland Security. States could also establish interstate compacts so visa holders could move freely within the member states. Quote, states understand their own economic needs best, but federal rules currently determine who can live and work here, Kelly said in a statement. Our bipartisan bill would let Arizona and other states choose the visas they need to fill labor gaps and strengthen their local economies. Curtis's and Kelly's framework requires background checks of visa applicants prior to entry. Once visa holders are approved, states must allow them to apply for occupational licenses and credentials. However, visa holders may not receive federal means-tested benefits. So honestly, it kind of sounds, yo, what's going on, tall pal? You know, it kind of sounds fine at the start, but just wait until this next part. And this is really where, this is where the hubris and the naivete of the Republican Party is manifest. It's in what we're about to read here. And just wait. To incentivize compliance, states can make visa holders post a bond refunded upon proof of departure. If federal agencies find more than 3% of visa holders in a state are overstaying, the state will be required to implement a bond of $4,000, and their visa quota will be reduced by 50%. Which means the bond that is being placed upon the immigrants when they come in on these visas is less than $4,000. The $4,000 bond is, if people start overstaying their visas like crazy, the bond gets more expensive. They have to pay more, and they won't get that money back until they leave. That's the way that the bond would work. So you know already that the bond is less than $4,000. I believe it's $1,000. Or actually, no, we'll dive into that in a second. That's a different statistic. Anyway, the total number of state-sponsored visas under the new program would be limited to 5,000 per fiscal year, plus a proportional share of a 245,000 visa pool based on a state's population, a state's compliance with the 3-year limit, and growth in the U.S. gross domestic product, which is, of course, what this all goes back to. We can't envision the country outside of the GDP. This bill includes a provision that could be described as a pathway to legal residency for some visa holders who are illegal immigrants. And this is where it's interesting. Brigham editorializes in a funny way. He says, it could be described this way. Well, let me continue reading, and you tell me how else you would describe it other than a pathway to citizenship or legal residency. These illegal immigrants would need to undergo a background check and pay a $1,000 penalty. Oh, hold on. Sorry. For those illegal immigrants who have been physically present in the United States since December 31st, 2016, those illegal immigrants would need to undergo a background check and pay a $1,000 penalty. We'll dive into that in a sec. Curtis's bill could bring a resolution to a 15-year-old Utah law that has been sitting in federalist limbo. In 2011, the Utah legislature requested a federal waiver for permission to operate a state-run migrant worker visa program, and Utah never received the waiver. During the 2026 legislative session, Utah House Republicans took a dramatic departure from the state's immigration compromise, voting to repeal the defunct program. The bill never received a Senate vote after no member of the upper chamber opted to sponsor it. Alrighty, let's dive in. Let's break this down, starting with what is most alarming. It's what we read at the end there. It is that any immigrant who came into the United States illegally before December 31st of 2016 will have to only pay a $1,000 fine in order to receive and be put on a pathway to residency, legal residency. After which, they will receive federal benefits, the ones that they aren't already receiving, because there are states that already provide benefits to illegal immigrants, California among them. Other states, Utah included, by the way. Trevor Lee tried to run a bill where, federal programs, which are funded by tax dollars, that they would not be used to support undocumented immigrants, illegal immigrants. That was shot down. The Republicans vetoed it. They refused to sponsor it. So we're already in dire straits as it is. What this legislation would do is basically say anybody who came in before the end of 2016 It's $1,000 to buy your citizenship. It's $1,000 to buy, sorry, not your citizenship, your residency, your legal residency. You committed a crime. You hid the fact that you committed the crime for years, at least 10 years, and now we have rewarded you by offering you a small fine. I think the fine, by the way, I mean, this is only a little bit larger than the fine actually of getting kicked out of the country. We have you pay $1,000. That's not even $100 for every year you've been in the country, by the way. We have you pay $1,000, and then you're on a pathway to residency. And I understand the temptation that Republicans and Democrats alike have, which is that we understand that the immigration system is broken. There are not enough judges. Obviously, the deportations are not functioning as we want. There aren't hardly as many as we want, but they also are happening in a way that we don't like to see. There is unnecessary violence. And, you know, I'm not the person to say that the largest amount of the blame ought to be placed on the ICE officers. That's not me. I think that the problem started way before the ICE officers. I tend to be a lot harsher on criminals than I am on police officers who are excessive in their use of force. But nonetheless, you know, we must be able to recognize that deportations haven't been done in a very efficacious way. And they've kind of poisoned everybody's appetite to the issue of immigration because of the optical disaster that they have been. We understand the immigration issue to be complicated. And we do have a question. What do you do with people who have been here for 10 plus years illegally? And so Republicans have time and time again come up with an idea. And we're seeing a new manifestation of this idea right here in this piece of legislation. The idea we come up with time and time again is, okay, we will figure out some way to grant amnesty. We'll provide a pathway to citizenship, to legal residency, so that the people who are in the country, who have been here for a long time illegally, can come out from the shadows. They can start paying in more to federal benefits. We can try and figure their status in the society out. We can try to, you know, bring them to the light, incorporate them in our society. And after that, or rather, in order to make up for us kind of providing this amnesty, we're cracking down on immigration. We are restricting it. We are making very specific, you know, qualifications before anybody is able to receive a visa as a worker, a student, or otherwise. This is exactly what Ronald Reagan attempted to do in the 80s. This idea, this belief, this myth that Republicans have bought into, that if you just give the people who are already here amnesty so that we can just, you know, legally classify them and recognize them in a census, and then we seriously restrict immigration after that in order to make up for it. This myth, time and time again, proves to come to the detriment of immigration restriction, proves to be to the detriment of native-born Americans, proves to be to the detriment of any conservative understanding of immigration. It is not the case that if you provide amnesty and then try to close the door behind everybody you just gave amnesty to, that people will stop coming here illegally. In fact, it is the case that you have just provided everybody else from the third world a much greater incentive. You've told them, if you break this law and enter into our country illegally, if you break this section of U.S. Code 1325, the specific one, illegal entry, unlawful entry, if you break it and you get away with that crime, you are able to evade police, you are able to evade and avoid detection for years. We are willing to grant you basically like a shortcut to citizenship and residency. And that every single time does not serve actually to reduce the amount of immigrants that come to the country, to reduce the amount of applicants, to reduce the amount of illegal immigration. What it does is it actually provides an incentive. It says, hey, there's a chance. So you're telling me there's a chance. If I was an illegal immigrant, if I was somebody from Mexico, from Honduras, if I was from any part of the global south, I would want to get into the United States as soon as possible if I saw a piece of legislation like that, because I knew that it would only be a matter of years until that same, statute of limitations applied to me. But if you think about it, if you frame it, by the way, if you frame it within the context of where we've been politically, think about the time. Donald Trump campaigned in 2016 about the issue of mass migration. And if you don't want to say mass migration, you can even just say illegal immigration. His big proposal was to build the wall. And so if you're Hispanic, not Hispanic, if you're just from the global South, and you have this already, kind of this incentive to migrate to the United States of America because there's far greater economic opportunity, and maybe you escape violence too. That could be a factor. But if you hear Donald Trump in 2015 on the campaign trail, and you hear him talking about building a wall, you hear him talking about kicking all the illegals out, you hear him calling out, the crimes that occur against native-born Americans, what are you thinking to yourself? You're thinking, man, if this guy has any shot to win, I better get in right now. You're thinking, man, my window for entry is closing fast. I need to get in now. And even go one step further, right? Think about this. Donald Trump, when does he win? He wins in November of 2016. Or is it 2015? Am I retarded? Gentlemen, am I retarded? What is the actual year? It is 2016. I'm not retarded. Guys, I'm not retarded. I was double guessing myself. I was double checking myself, but I was right. Donald Trump wins the election in November of 2016, November 3rd, election day. If you are from the global South, you have from November 3rd over a month and a half, almost 2 months to make it into the United States. And if you made it in that period, in the period between Donald Trump's election and the end of 2016, you will still be provided a pathway to citizenship under this legislation. Think about that. Donald Trump is elected because we have an immigration issue, and here we are proposing a piece of legislation that provides a pathway to citizenship to the very people that he was campaigning about removing because they had entered the country illegally. I mean, think about what a spit in the face this is to everything that happened 10 years ago. And I understand when you say it that way, when you say it's been 10 years, it sounds like it's been a long time, but think about it this way. We've all lived the past 10 years. And a lot has happened in our lives. I am not here saying that a lot doesn't happen in 10 years. A lot happens in 10 years. 10 years ago, when I was 13 years old, I was just starting to get interested in politics because of this election. But if you then consider that this was a prominent enough issue at the time to campaign on, that it was a poignant enough message to propel Donald Trump to an electoral victory, and that we are now providing a pathway to citizenship for the very same people that he was actively campaigning about, removing because they had entered illegally, you really start to wonder, wow, what was it all for? And we shouldn't be surprised that this is happening because I don't think John Curtis at all shares the vision that Donald Trump or the majority of conservatives now have regarding immigration. And I think he's absolutely naive. And this, by the way, I saw somebody say it in the comments. Somebody said, Kendra said, why are Mormon Republicans so weak? You know what it is? I think it's naivete. And I'm actually somewhat of an expert on this matter because I am a Latter-day Saint, a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and a Republican and a conservative. I grew up in an LDS household. I grew up in the state of Utah. My state is the state of Gary Herbert, Mitt Romney, John Curtis, Spencer Cox. We are not the state of strong Republicans. Now, I think Mike Kennedy and Mike Lee do much better than the rest of the pack. But because I was raised in the same atmosphere and environment that they were, I understand the psychological, type that conjures up these kind of proposals. I understand the sense of empathy. I understand the want to appeal to the normie, to the moderate. I understand the niceness culture. I understand every part of that. I suffer from the same thing myself. You know how difficult it is to support certain policies that you know are uncomfortable and are difficult and are not easy, but that you also know are going to save your country down the line? You think I think about the issue of deportation and get like, a smile on my face? You think it's something that excites me? I'm going to be honest, it doesn't. Maybe that's unpopular and maybe this is just my Mormon showing. I'm honestly not happy about the fact that families are being split up. I don't think anybody should be. But I am also principled enough, and I am future thinking enough that I recognize we must make hard decisions, uncomfortable decisions, and difficult decisions now in order to save the country in the future. And actually, and this is why my position, the conservative position, is the more moral one, to reduce the amount of human suffering in the future. However, if you pass this piece of legislation that basically says, hey guys, we're providing a new pathway to citizenship, we're providing a new avenue, a new road to legal residence, despite the fact that you have come in illegally, you've broken our laws. The contract you established with the United States was a faulty contract from its genesis. Despite all of that, we're going to provide you a pathway to citizenship. When you tell people that, what it does is it perpetuates the problem of illegal immigration, because you give people something to hope for. There is no future. There is no future where you can completely shut down all illegal immigration. But if you want to decrease it, you stop giving people the sense that things are going to change, that we're going to become less tolerant, or that we are going to become more tolerant of it. If you tell people that we're going to basically, we'll look the other way if it's been more than 10 years, what are you going to do? You're going to encourage people to stay and keep their heads down for 10 years. You're encouraging lawlessness. That's the problem. And I don't know why John Curtis doesn't get it, but actually I do know. I do know why. And it's because he wants to be nice. It's because Republicans in Utah especially, and Republicans generally, are beautiful losers. We love the fact that we can propose bipartisan legislation. We feel so good. Oh no, but the Democrat agrees. The Democrat is sponsoring this piece of legislation with me. Dude, that should be a red flag. That should be a red flag. I'm not saying there's no opportunity for bipartisanship, but what I am saying is that when there is, you ought to raise some eyebrows, because either Republicans are getting a raw deal, or, I don't know, it's like sending $7 billion to Israel. Like, those are the two situations in which there's bipartisanship. Either one, it's something that significantly disadvantages Republicans down the line, or two, it's about Israel. Those are the only two ways that a bipartisan piece of legislation pops up. So, I understand the theory of mind of John Curtis. But Mr. Senator John Curtis, I'm here to tell you that this is a bad decision. Reagan tried this in the 80s. How did we do? We established new immigration laws. We created the visa programs, the H-1B program, which now we understand is a complete failure. We did all of that post-Reagan in an effort to crack down, in an effort to be more strict. That was the deal. The deal was we will be more strict, and in return, we are going to offer amnesty to the immigrants in the United States who have come here illegally. But look at what's happened. You think immigration's gotten any better since the 80s? Absolutely not. And what we're gonna have now is we're gonna have a piece of legislation that every single year offers a pathway to residence to somebody who came in 1 year later, 1 year later, 1 year later. This is not sustainable. And this is stupid. This is politically naive. And we can even, jump just, and I won't go on way too long because I can't do a very long live stream tonight. This shouldn't test your faith, by the way. This shouldn't test your faith. Low-key, Cartier, I'm going to be honest, dude, that shouldn't test your faith. These are politicians. These are not the brethren. And it's not the doctrine. It shouldn't test your faith, but I understand if you're opposed to it. So am I, right? But let's even look at some of the statistics. What they're going to do is they're going to look into the claims of job displacement. Well, we know job displacement is occurring because we know automation is occurring at a rate that is unprecedented. You think job displacement is occurring right now? What do you think is going to happen in 5 years as AI continues to advance, as more and more of the jobs of an everyday life are automated, become unnecessary, as manufacturing is hollowed out, not this time by China, but by robots made in China? You think displacement is going to get any better? You think there are ways to avoid it? No. It will come time when even the most selective of jobs will not be done by human beings. And to tolerate mass migration in an age of automation, in my opinion, is evil. The amount of displacement that is going to occur as a result of automation is insane. Think about it. I honestly feel really bad for the millennials who had to go to college, who had to graduate, who studied computer science because they were told that that was going to give them thousands and thousands of dollars in income once they graduated, who now find themselves displaced because Claude can code just as well as they can. The whole message that we were telling truck drivers 5 years ago as their jobs begun to be automated, learn to code, well, that's totally irrelevant now. And I'll be honest, I do take some sick, twisted joy and satisfaction in the fact that the people who have created the monstrosity of artificial intelligence, that they're the ones also being directly affected by the displacement. I take some satisfaction, I derive some pleasure from the fact that it is not just the blue collar, but the white collar jobs that are affected. But all of it sucks. And to allow even 5,000, what is the number, right? 5,000 plus the additional proportional allotment, as a proportion of the population of the state, this additional allotment from a pool of 245,000 people, to allow that number of individuals into a state where people are not only displaced, but dropping out of the workforce and don't see enough benefits available to them in these different professions to warrant even being interested in the job. That is reckless, it is irresponsible, it is evil. Bro says, we're hating on AI now? This is conservaslop. Dude, AI is evil, man. I'm not saying that AI is not revolutionary. I'm not saying that it's not going to do incredible things. And I'm not even saying I don't use it. I do. But it would be a lie if I didn't say that AI is going to cause such a rise in deaths of despair that we ought to be maybe a little bit more reverent as we talk about it. There's a reason why every single CEO of these major AI companies, there's a reason that Altman, there's a reason that Musk, there's a reason that all of the other developers, proponents of AI talk about it in very, very reverent, very stoic terms. It's because they understand the threat. And what have we had passed, by the way? We had a ban on AI regulation passed. Isn't that crazy? Anyways, it's going to talk, this bill is going to address, they're going to study the effects of worker displacement. Well, I can tell you something, and it's that in many of the jobs around the country, I forget what percent it is, but in many of the jobs around the country, the wages have been stagnant for years, despite the fact that there has been an influx, of labor, despite the fact that wages ought to be rising somewhat proportionally to inflation. We know that wages have been stagnant. So if you want to talk about worker displacement, maybe we analyze that. Maybe we analyze why wages have been so stagnant in these sectors of the economy, in tech, in the places where H-1B visas are dispatched. You think it's just because, they can't afford it? Or do you think it's because now American-born laborers are competing with labor that is happy to labor for less? There are so many ways that we know that more migration into the United States is going to seriously disadvantage native-born workers. And you want to talk about, by the way, the lack of creativity from the Republican Party? Here's where it is. It is that we look at a problem like the labor shortage in the state of Utah. But think about it. Why is there a labor shortage?
Is it just because we don't have enough people? Or is it because there's a lot of people who are not represented in those labor statistics because they're not looking for jobs? They've dropped out entirely. It's actually not that they're looking. It's that they're not. They dropped out entirely. They subsist. They receive federal benefits. But also they're just not at all attracted to anything because there is nothing attracting them to it. And there's no incentive for the businesses to attract them if they can import the labor. And it becomes this self-perpetuating cycle because if those companies then say, well, we don't have any laborers, what are they going to do? They're going to import more workers, and those workers are going to come with their families. And this legislation, by the way, makes that worse because they're not tied to an employer. Now, John Curtis heard the concerns about the H-1B visa program. He heard that if somebody is tied to one employer, the employer is able to hold the threat of not extending or renewing the visa over the head of the employee. So what's the solution? Well, John Curtis thought, and Mark Kelly, I shouldn't just all throw this on John, this is Mark Kelly as well. We're just harder on John because he's a Republican on the ticket. But John Curtis says, okay, well then we will not tie these visas to a single corporation or a single entity. We'll bring people in to work in a field. You think that's going to drive up wages? Or do you think that that is going to flood a pool and is going to have the same effects, by the way, on the cost of labor, on wages, as before, if not more? Because now you have, in all kinds of fields, a surplus of labor, and the individuals who are in the fields are not just tied to one employer, but are broadly distributed. It'll be a race to the bottom. It's not going to be a competition to see who can raise the wages the highest. And mind you, even if it was, the highest wage would still be lower than what the average native-born American would want, what we are entitled to some extent. And I don't go too far, by the way, with that entitlement. I think that, negotiation and doing a proper job, that's all a very important part of it. The free market system doesn't work if you just give people, as high of a minimum wage as possible. But it's not going to be competition between businesses to provide more benefits. It's going to be competition between these immigrants. And it's basically going to be whoever is willing to pick the lowest price. That is not the way I want my country to run. I want my country to be free market, but I want the free market to work. I want the mechanism of the free market to work to the advantage of U.S. born laborers. And on that point of being U.S. born, these families, they have children. Immediately, the children are American citizens. We have not fixed the birthright citizenship problem. And what does that do? It exacerbates the issue because then these no longer are laborers. These are no longer just, people coming here to do a job in a certain field that we don't have enough people in, which I would dispute, by the way, just on its face. It's not just that. What it becomes is a new pathway to citizenship. And I'm not sure, actually, if the legislation itself contains a specific outline of what kind of renewal or extension there would be after the 3-year period. With H-1Bs, it's a 3-year period, and then there's renewal, I think, for up to 4 times, something like that. It's over a decade. But truly, it's this is a disastrous piece of legislation. It absolutely works against the interests of Americans, and I'm just very disappointed. It's naivete, it is hubris, and it is a complete disregard for the concerns of Americans. And again, if we're going to talk about the creativity, rather than ask ourselves, why are young people dropping out of the workforce? Why do we have labor shortages if we know we have laborers? Why is this happening? Rather than address those questions, what do? We throw more immigrants at it. We throw more laborers at it. We throw more pieces of economic productivity at it. It's such a soulless way of looking at human beings. It is such a soulless way of looking at a nation to just throw more immigrants at it. Same thing with the birth rate. Anyway, And by the way, an excess of labor has a depressive effect on wages, and a depression and depression in wages has an adverse effect or a negative effect on birth rates. So these two issues, they lead into each other. They bleed into each other. It's a big problem. Anyways, thanks, Wigger Pig. Wigger Pig says, God bless kaiclips. Well, thank you. God bless you too. Anyway, I think we'll leave that there. I don't think we're going to touch on Marsha Judkins. Pause. I don't think we're going to get to Marsha Judkins today. Maybe we will later. I don't know. That's a personal beef. But let's just dive into our super chats real quick before I jump on out of here. powerchat.live/kaiclips. It is the car replacement fund. If you'd like to help me replace my car, then you can go to powerchat.live/kaiclips. Alrighty, let's throw on the headphones. We're doing the big headphones this time, gaming headphones, because we're gonna be gaming. Uh-oh. Hey! There it is. There it is. We're starting off strong. Friend of the show.
Zachary_Hoffen sent $10. Happy Monday.
Happy
Everybody.
Monday.
To all my kaiclips fans in the chat. Can I get a heck yeah?
Dude, this is one of my favorite super chats. Yo, can we get a heck yeah? Hey, can we get a heck yeah, guys? Yo, heck yeah, guys. Can we get a heck yeah in the chat? Thank you, Zachary. Love you, big guy. Yeah, let's get a heck yeah in the chat, guys. Hey, thank you for the $1. Solar Film, he says, hop on Siege after the stream, goat. I might. Whoa, 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 whoa. Huge super chat. What the? Who is this anonymous donor?
Anonymous sent $200.
Who is it? Who is this handsome anonymous stranger? $200. Holy. Holy. Yo, okay. It's just going to cycle through all of them. We're going to read them. We're going to read them. Don't worry. Don't worry. But holy moly. Can we get a W? Can we get a anonymous? Can we get a anonymous?
Sent $5, bro. My son
Anonymous in
took
the
a
chat,
part in
please.
Ezra
W
about preserving
anonymous.
The faith through marrying in the covenant, and made it about prophets being heckin' mean and not inclusive, and glazing all.
Anonymous in the chat. Holy
Absolute hotel
moly,
charity.
dude.
Utah
Thank
down
you.
bad.
Oh my gosh. High Roller in the live chat. I wonder if it's anybody we know. They didn't use their name. They didn't use their name, so I don't know if it is anybody that we know. But if that's a new High Roller, welcome, man. Thank you so much. Huge support. And yeah, Solar Film said, hop on Siege after the stream. I might just do that. That might be exactly what I had planned. Blake, thank you for the 5. He says, hey, buddy, hope all is well. I'm going to put $30 on Fishback's Poly Market for you. If I win, I'll give you the $2K for a new car. Is that the odds? Brutal. Thank you, though. Hey, thank you. You know what, Blake? I appreciate that. You know, I don't know if I can condone that because that's almost like gambling. But what if somebody said, like, hey, Kai, I'm not gonna donate $200 to you because I'm gonna put it on black. And if I win, I'm going to give you the $400. Or I'm going to put it all on 0. I'm going to put it all on 1. What is that, a red one or a black one? I don't know. I'm going to put it all on 1, and if I win, the payout's going to be insane, and I'm going to give you all that money. I don't know if I can condone that, gambling to increase the super chat value. But hey, if that happens, Blake, I expect the payout. I expect the payout. Anyway, Hawkeye Void, good to see you, man. He says, bro, my Sunday school took a part in Ezra about preserving the faith through marrying in the covenant and made it about prophets being heckin' mean and not inclusive and glazing all the non-members. Absolute hotel chair energy based. Utah down bad. Yeah, dude, I don't know what's going on, bro. You know, Paul was really spitting when he talked about there not being private interpretation of Scripture. Paul was kind of spitting because... Like, look, don't get me wrong. I think you can privately interpret Scripture for your own life because I think that there are important messages that you will take away from the Scriptures at important or pivotal moments of your life. But if you're teaching a Sunday school class and you're just going to take from a lesson something that is absolutely not in the text, that's wrong. That's like totally wrong. And I think that's exactly what Paul was talking about. You know, what's the difference between that and any other Protestant denomination? Come on. Let's lock in here. Only 15 years ago, Utah was the #1 best state to live in, and it wasn't even close. That's so true, bro. That is so true. Anyway, Hawkeye, I'm sorry to hear about that, man. That is so cringe. That is super, super cringe. That is hotel chair energy. I like that. Hotel chair energy. Very nice. Dude, Mike Cernovich was hyping us up on Twitter. Mike Cernovich was that guy, dude. He's a kaiclips fan. I don't know what happened. Mike Cernovich is like a big kaiclips fan. He's been like bussing it down on a real one. Let me see here. I wonder if there's anything new. Is there anything new on Twitter? Have I done any good in the world today? Word war debate. Goats. Total goats. Supporting the stream. Love that. Hopefully, yeah, maybe I'll do a debate with them in the future. That'd be good. Be good stuff. Who are these guys that want to debate in the chat? Hold on. Who should be his first opponents? The guy said, yay, future saint. Christian Catholic first. I mean, maybe he wants to debate Catholicism. I don't know. And then a guy who is he's a wannabe Wilson. Darth Jeff. Interesting. He's from the Crucible. We like the Crucible. Interesting. What else is going on? Anything else? You sound... Dude, this guy is really... There's a guy who's been really on my case recently. Like, this is actually crazy. This Jeff Olson guy is absolutely on my case. Holy moly. He said, what was his first tweet? This smooth-talking expert... This is in response to my Jubilee. He says, this smooth-talking expert in many words and the use of flattery should not be trusted. He is full of cunning false narratives. This is because I'm against Israel. And he quoted a bunch of stuff. He quoted from the Doctrines of the Gospel Manual. So what did I quote? I quoted from the Book of Mormon Student Manual, which is, still in circulation, which we be reading. What's up, Utah College Republicans? Love you, big guy. So I quoted from that, and it's a quote by Bruce R. McConkie, where he says, Judah will gather to Old Jerusalem in due course. Of this there is no doubt, but this gathering will consist of accepting Christ, joining the church, and receiving anew the Abrahamic covenant as it is administered in holy places. The present assembling of people of Jewish ancestry into the Palestinian nation of Israel is not the scriptural gathering of Israel or of Judah. It may be a prelude thereto, and some of the people so assembled may in due course be gathered into the true church and kingdom on earth, kingdom of God on earth, and they may then assist in building the temple that is destined to grace Jerusalem's soil. But a political gathering is not a spiritual gathering, and the Lord's kingdom is not of this world. To which he replies, you fell for it! I knew you would throw Bruce R. McConkie's rare opinion out as doctrine for an excuse to be able to hate and spurn the ancient covenant children of Israel without honest scrutiny. What are you talking about, dude? It's not as if I went to the church archives to dig this up. This is in the Book of Mormon manual. I think almost every single missionary reads this specific chapter too, because it addresses Nephi, and in 2nd Nephi, like a couple chapters later, it goes over the Isaiah chapters, which are notoriously difficult to interpret. So this is not like hidden away. This is not some obscure thing. The church included this in the seminary manual for the Book of Mormon. That's where I found it. I wasn't even looking for it. I was just reading the manual during a scripture study as I was on my mission. But bro says, you fell for it. Bro thinks he's Ace Attorney. You are not Phoenix Wright. Dude, you are not Phoenix Wright. Mr. Jeff Olson, respectfully, you are not Phoenix Wright. I knew you would throw Bruce R. McConkie's rare opinion out as doctrine for an excuse to hate, to be able to hate and spurn the ancient covenant children of Israel without honest scrutiny. That sick strategy doesn't work here. His opinion stands in stark contrast to the vast majority of prophets and apostles. All right, dude. Official doctrine is not established by a few voices here and there. Official doctrine is established by the chorus of voices of prophets and apostles. Well, official doctrine is actually established through unanimity. What is it? Unanimity? Yeah, unanimity, right? Am I tweaking? How would you say unanimousness? Is that a word? Unanimity? It is. Dude, we're so back. We're on a roll. I'm getting these words right. It's just a weird word to say, unanimity. Anyway, it's established by unanimous consent and teaching by all of the brethren, which means if Bruce R. McConkie, an apostle of his day, was not in consensus with the rest of the brethren, it does not make it doctrine. Your opinion, I mean. But I actually disagree with the idea that all of the apostles have thought this. That's just not true. I'm going to be honest. Hey, unpopular opinion. MF is talking about Jews this, Muslim this, Buddhist that, pagan that. To me, they're all the same. They're all not yet converted. To me, the answer is that they are all not yet converted. And that's actually what I replied with. I said, Jeff, please calm down. I don't hate anyone. To which he replied, with the alarm emoji, by the way, cloaking virtue detected. Avoid scrutiny by hiding behind I don't hate anyone, and then go on to do everything you can to undermine the Jewish people and stoke the fire of anti-Semitism. How have you, quote, sought to recover them? I said, yes, I proselytize to everyone I can. He says, you sound just as superficial as you sounded and looked in the debate. Frazzled, rushed, grasping for straws. People see right through your facade. What did I do, dude? Holy moly. Like, oh my gosh. Why do you want me to hate people so bad, Jeff? I couldn't hate a fly. It's like Brigham Young said. That they are living up to the measure of their creation. The flies and the mosquitoes. I'm actually going to look this up. Hold on. This is so good. This is so good, dude. Hugh Nibley had some really good talks, and then this is the last thing I'm going to do. Hugh Nibley had a really good talk. Let me see if I can find the transcript. Mosquitoes. They didn't say. Yeah, was it mosquito? Or maybe it was locust. Or no, it was cricket. Yeah. Here we go.
The crickets. Now there is a harboring that revengeful, vindictive feeling to slay an innocent harbored, believe that the present affliction on their ground.
This is Brigham Young, by the way. Well, these are the words of Brigham Young told by Hugh Nibley.
I certainly believe that the present affliction which has come upon us from the Indians is a consequence of the wickedness which dwells in the hearts of some of our brethren. I believe that the Lord permits them to chasten us at the present time to convince us that we have to overcome the vindictive feelings which we have harbored toward that poor, downtrodden branch of the house of Israel. Shall we do as the Lamanites do? Fight fire with fire? No, I forbid it in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. I forbid any elder or member of this church to slay an innocent Lamanite any more than he would slay an innocent white man. I wish to impress them with the necessity of treating the Indians with kindness and refrain from harboring that revengeful, vindictive feeling that many indulge in. I am convinced that as long as we harbor in us such feelings toward them, so long there will be our enemies, and the Lord will suffer them to afflict us.
That is Brigham Young, dude. Everybody wants to say that Brigham Young is the most evil person of all time. Everybody wants to say that Brigham Young is Hitler. No, he's not. He's actually the American Moses and a super cool guy. Actually. Hashtag Brigham Young is not Hitler. Can we get this through our heads, everybody? Brigham Young is awesome, actually. If you don't like Brigham Young, you just don't know enough about him.
So he goes.
You know what? Here's what it is. When you don't know anything in the church, it's the inverse bell curve. It's the inverse bell curve of general intelligence. When you don't know much about the church, you love Brigham Young. Then you start to know a little bit more, like you get the ex-Mormon posts. You get your John DeLynn in the feed, Alyssa Grenfell, and then you start to hate him and you think he's a racist and you think he's a Nazi. And then you get more knowledge, Then you learn even more, you investigate even further, and you find out that he was based. You find out that he's the best. Brigham Young is awesome. Anyway.
Goes on. Well, how about the crickets? Now, there is a real test, you see. You might love Indians, but can you love crickets? Ah. Well, get this. You laugh, but listen to this. First of all, he says, learn first to obtain power over the smaller objects and principles around you. Learn to control yourselves and that which is immediately around you, and always keep in view that the animal, vegetable, and mineral kingdoms, the earth and its fullness, will all, except the children of men, abide their creation, the law by which they were made, and will receive their exaltation. They're
So
not
true.
mere chattels, they are eternal essences too.
So true.
Now he says, pay attention to what the Lord requires of you and let the balance go. Last season, when the grasshoppers came on my crops, I said, nibble away, I might as well feed you as have my neighbors do it.
The grasshoppers did what? The grasshoppers did what on his crops? Anyway, sorry.
Now he says, pay attention to what the Lord requires of you and let the balance go. Last season, when the grasshoppers came on my crops, I said, nibble away, I might as well feed you as have my neighbors do it. I have sown plenty. I have sown plenty, and you have not raised any yourselves. And when the harvest came, you would not have known there had been a grasshopper there. The yield was as good as I expected at the planting sown. And then, 10 years later, he says, it's not necessary for calamity to come upon us if we will only take a course to prevent it. According to present appearances, next year we may expect the grasshoppers to eat up nearly all our crops. But if we have provisions enough to last us another year, we can say to the grasshoppers, those creatures of God, you are welcome. I have never yet had a feeling to drive them from one plant in my garden. He feels just like he does toward the Indians. But I look upon them as the armies of the Lord, and with them it is easy for him to consume a great nation. Well, there's a test. You can talk about reverence for life and that sort of thing, but when you're being given that side of a test, it's something, you know.
That's Brigham Young, dude. Brigham Young is the GOAT of all time. Dude, he's so awesome. Brigham Young was a more patient and loving man than 90% of the people who hate him. You hear that? You hear what he said about crickets? GOAT. The GOAT. What's up, Nessa? We got Nessa in the chat. Dude, lots of people commenting about the mustache tonight. It looks even worse than it typically does because of the light. Because they're blonde hairs, and so they look like much more patchy than they are. I just got to dye them. I just got to pull the trig on that. Anyway, this is based.
I have not made war on the Indians, do as they end in war. He says, tells Nephi, that the seed of your brethren will always be a scourge to your brethren to keep them in remembrance. That's the function of Lamanites, and they're functioning here according to the rule. He says, I tell you, Walker has not been the cause of the Indian war, and the Lord will work out the salvation of his people if they do as they are told.
Walker was an Indian chief, hated by many.
Well, how do you deal with him then? How many times I have been asked in the past week what I intend to do with Walker. I say, let him alone severely. I have not made war on the Indians, nor am I calculating to do it. My policy is to give them presents, be kind to them. Instead of being Walker's enemy, I have sent him a great pile of tobacco to smoke while he's lonely in the mountains. He is now at war with the only friends he has upon this earth, and I want him to have some tobacco to smoke. I am satisfied that among the red men of the mountains and the forest you will find just as many good, honest persons as among the Anglo-Saxon race. We are now their neighbors. We are on their... He was like Abraham in his justice, his magnanimity, his fair play. I was saying this, we are now their neighbors. We are on their land, for it belongs to them, as much as any soil ever belonged to any man on earth. We are drinking their water, using their fuel and timber, and raising our food on their ground.
That's the guy that they want you to think is Mecha Hitler. They want you to think that Brigham Young was like literally ordered the execution of like every white man and every Indian, and was also Hitler, and was also the most evil guy of all time, when in reality, he was freaking wholesome as heck. Okay? Brigham Young was awesome. I'm tired of pretending he's not. Okay. Anyways, guys, seeing no more Super Chats, I think that's where we're going to close. Love you guys. We are going to listen to our outro song. It has been fantastic being with you guys. Unfortunately, for today, we are out of time, but we will see you again very soon. Adios. Bye.
months I've been working on me, baby. There's so much trauma in my life. I've been so cold to the ones who love me, baby. I look back now and I realize. Remember when I held you? You begged me with your drowning eyes to stay. Now regret I didn't take you. Now I can't keep you from loving him. You made up your mind. Say I love you, girl, but I'm out of time. Say I'm there for you, but I'm out of time. Say that I'll care for you, but I'm out of time. Said I'm too late to make you mine. Out of time. If you mess up just a little, baby, you know my line. If you don't trust him a little, then come right back, girl, come right back. Give me one chance, just a little. Baby, I'll treat you right. And I love you like I should have loved you all the time. Now, remember when I held you? You begged me with your drowning eyes to stay. Now, regret I didn't tell you. Now I can't keep you from loving him. You made up your mind. Say I love you, girl, but I'm out of time. Say I'm there for you, but I'm out of time. Say that I'll care for you, but I'm out of time. Said I'm too late to make you mine. Out of time. Ooh, singing out of time. Said I had you to myself, but I'm out of time. Say that I care for you, but I'm out of time. But I'm too late to make you mine. Out of time. Out of
Don't you dare touch that dial, because like the song says, you are